The evening started like any other episode of Andy Cohen's lively talk show, Watch What Happens Live, where celebrities gather to spill secrets, share laughs, and promote their latest projects. Leanne Morgan, the beloved Southern comedian known for her hilarious takes on motherhood, marriage, and everyday life in the South, was the guest of honor that night. She walked onto the set with her signature big hair, warm smile, and infectious energy, greeted by enthusiastic applause from the live audience. Andy, ever the charismatic host, welcomed her with open arms, complimenting her on her recent Netflix special that had everyone buzzing. They dove right into lighthearted banter, with Leanne recounting funny stories from her stand-up routines about raising kids and dealing with in-laws. The conversation flowed effortlessly at first, as Andy asked about her inspirations and how she turned personal anecdotes into comedy gold. Leanne shared how her life as a wife and mother of 3 provided endless material, emphasizing the joys and chaos of family life. The audience laughed along, and it seemed like a perfect, feel-good interview. But as the segment progressed, Andy shifted gears, probing deeper into the themes of her comedy. He mentioned how her focus on traditional family values resonated with many but might alienate others in today's diverse society. Leanne nodded politely, explaining that her humor was rooted in her own experiences and meant to unite people through relatable laughs, not divide them. Yet, Andy pressed on, asking if she ever worried that her portrayal of Southern life came across as outdated or exclusive. Leanne chuckled at first, deflecting with a joke about how everyone has their own version of normal, but the tension began to build subtly. The host, known for his unfiltered style, didn't let up, citing examples from her special where she joked about gender roles and small-town traditions. Leanne defended her work, saying it was all in good fun and reflected her authentic self. The exchange started to heat up as Andy suggested that in the current cultural climate, such views could be seen as insensitive. Leanne's smile faded slightly, but she held her composure, reiterating that comedy should be a safe space for all perspectives. The audience sensed the shift, with murmurs rippling through the crowd. Andy, perhaps sensing the drama, leaned in further, asking pointed questions about inclusivity and whether Leanne had considered updating her material to appeal to a broader audience. She responded firmly, stating that she wasn't about to change who she was to fit someone else's narrative. The back and forth continued, with Leanne growing more animated in her defenses, her Southern drawl adding emphasis to her points. By the end of this initial clash, the once jovial atmosphere had transformed into something more charged, setting the stage for what would become an unforgettable on-air moment. Viewers at home watched in anticipation, wondering if the interview would veer back to lighter topics or spiral further. Little did they know, the real fireworks were just beginning. As the commercial break ended and the show resumed, Andy Cohen dove deeper into the conversation, steering it toward what he called the evolution of comedy in a changing world. He referenced how other comedians had adapted their acts to address social issues more directly, implying that Leanne's wholesome, family-centric humor might feel out of touch with younger generations. Leanne, still seated comfortably on the plush couch, listened intently, but her expression hardened. She countered by sharing how her comedy had helped countless women feel seen and validated in their roles as homemakers and parents, arguing that there's room for all kinds of stories in entertainment. Andy nodded, but then posed a hypothetical: what if her jokes unintentionally marginalized LGBTQ+ families or those from non-traditional backgrounds? This question struck a nerve, and Leanne's response was swift and passionate. She explained that her material was never meant to exclude anyone, it was simply her truth, drawn from her life in Tennessee. The host persisted, bringing up social media comments from viewers who felt her specials reinforced stereotypes. Leanne leaned forward, her voice rising slightly as she accused Andy of cherry-picking criticisms to create controversy for ratings. The audience gasped audibly, and the energy in the room crackled with unease. Andy, unfazed, defended his line of questioning as part of honest dialogue. But Leanne wasn't having it. She pointed out the double standard in Hollywood, where progressive views were celebrated while traditional ones were often dismissed as backward. The debate intensified, with both trading barbs about tolerance and open-mindedness. Leanne emphasized that true inclusivity means accepting differing viewpoints without judgment, while Andy suggested that comedy has a responsibility to evolve with society. Clips from her special were played on screen, prompting further dissection. Leanne grew visibly frustrated, her hands gesturing emphatically as she spoke about the pressures on women to conform to modern ideals. The exchange turned personal when Andy asked about her own family dynamics, probing if her husband and children shared her views. Leanne shut that down quickly, calling it irrelevant and invasive. The tension mounted as the segment stretched on, with neither willing to back down. Whispers from the audience grew louder, and production staff off-camera exchanged worried glances. Leanne's cheeks flushed with emotion, but she maintained her poise, using humor to deflect some jabs while standing her ground on principles. Andy, sensing the heat, tried to lighten the mood with a joke, but it fell flat. Instead, Leanne used the opportunity to pivot, sharing a story from her tour about connecting with diverse audiences through shared human experiences. Yet, the underlying clash persisted, with Andy circling back to his original point about potential alienation. By now, the interview had deviated far from its promotional intent, morphing into a philosophical showdown on cultural norms. Viewers tuning in live tweeted furiously, some siding with Leanne's authenticity, others applauding Andy's boldness. The segment, meant to be fun and engaging, had become a battleground for broader societal debates, leaving everyone on edge for what might come next. Midway through the heated discussion, Andy Cohen escalated the conversation by quoting a critic who had labeled Leanne Morgan's comedy as charming but antiquated, likening it to a relic from a bygone era. This comment ignited a fire in Leanne, who fired back that such critiques often came from urban elites disconnected from everyday American life. She elaborated on how her routine celebrated the strength of women in all walks, not just those fitting a progressive mold. Andy interjected, asking if she ever felt the need to address topics like feminism or equality more explicitly in her acts. Leanne paused, then unleashed a torrent of words about how her life embodied feminism through independence and resilience, without needing to label it. The audience erupted in applause at points, but boos also emerged, highlighting the divided room. Andy, thriving on the drama, pushed further, suggesting that ignoring modern sensitivities could limit her career growth. Leanne laughed incredulously, questioning why her successes sold-out tours and streaming hits wasn't evidence enough of her relevance. The back and forth grew more rapid, with overlapping dialogue that made the segment feel chaotic. Leanne accused the host of ambushing her under the guise of friendly chat, while Andy insisted it was all in the spirit of lively TV. Tensions peaked when he brought up a specific joke from her special about marriage, asking if it perpetuated outdated gender expectations. Leanne defended it as satire based on her reality, but then turned the tables, asking Andy about his own show's focus on celebrity gossip and whether that contributed positively to culture. The host chuckled, but the jab landed, prompting him to retort that at least his platform encouraged openness. This personal turn fueled Leanne's indignation. She stood up briefly, pacing a bit before sitting again, her voice trembling with emotion as she spoke about the hypocrisy in media scrutiny. The camera captured close-ups of her face, showing genuine upset mixed with determination. Audience members shouted encouragements, some yelling "You tell him, Leanne," while others urged calm. Production tried to steer back, but the momentum was unstoppable. Leanne delved into broader issues, discussing how Southern voices are often marginalized in national conversations, and how her comedy aimed to bridge that gap. Andy countered with examples of inclusive comedians who balanced tradition with progress. The clash revealed deeper divides, touching on politics, identity, and entertainment's role in society. Leanne's passion shone through as she recounted fan letters from people who found solace in her stories amid turbulent times. Yet, the relentless questioning wore on her, and hints of exhaustion appeared in her posture. The segment, now far over time, kept rolling, captivating viewers with its raw intensity. Social media exploded with clips and opinions, turning the episode into an instant viral sensation. As the debate raged, it became clear this wasn't just about comedy, it was a microcosm of America's cultural wars, played out live on air. Both participants held firm, but cracks in civility began to show. foreshadowing the dramatic exit that would soon shock everyone. The confrontation reached its boiling point as Andy Cohen posed what he framed as a final thought: whether Leanne Morgan's reluctance to adapt her comedy reflected a fear of change in a progressive world. This struck Leanne as condescending, and she exploded in response, her southern accent thickening with anger as she called out the implication that her values were inferior. She argued vehemently that change for change's sake wasn't progress if it erased authentic experiences. Andy tried to interject, but Leanne talked over him, listing examples of how media often vilifies traditional lifestyles while glorifying alternatives. The audience was split, with cheers and jeers creating a cacophony. Leanne's frustration mounted visibly. She removed her earrings in a dramatic gesture, symbolizing she was done playing nice. Andy, attempting to regain control, suggested they agree to disagree. But Leanne wasn't ready to let it go. She accused the show of setting her up for conflict rather than celebration, pointing out how the questions deviated from her prepared topics. The host denied any malice, claiming it was spontaneous discussion. But Leanne scoffed, saying it felt like a gotcha moment. Words flew fast and furious, with Leanne emphasizing respect for all paths while demanding the same for hers. Andy pushed back on what he saw as defensiveness, leading to a cycle of accusations. The energy was electric, with camera operators zooming in on heated expressions. Leanne stood again, this time more resolutely, declaring that she wouldn't sit there and be lectured on her own life. Murmurs from the crowd grew, and production staff signaled for a break, but the live format kept it going. Leanne's voice cracked slightly as she spoke about the toll such judgments take on artists, sharing a vulnerable moment about past criticisms. Andy softened briefly, offering empathy, but then circled back to his point, reigniting the fire. Leanne slammed her hand on the armrest lightly, exclaiming that enough was enough. The clash highlighted contrasting worldviews: Andy's urban, celebrity-driven perspective versus Leanne's grounded, heartland ethos. Viewers at home were glued to screens, debating in real time online. Leanne's passion turned to resolve as she unclipped her microphone, tossing it onto the couch with flair. Andy looked stunned, urging her to stay and continue the conversation. But Leanne shook her head, stating firmly that she came to promote joy, not defend her existence. The audience gasped collectively as she gathered her things, her heels clicking audibly on the set floor. Andy stammered apologies mixed with pleas, but it was too late. Leanne turned to the camera, addressing viewers directly with a message of empowerment and self-acceptance. The moment was raw, unscripted drama at its peak, leaving the host flustered and the show in disarray. As she approached the exit, the crowd's reactions varied from support to shock, encapsulating the divisive nature of the exchange. This pivotal escalation marked the irreversible turn toward her stormy departure, etching the episode into talk show history. In the climactic moments before her exit, Leanne Morgan paused at the edge of the set, turning back to Andy Cohen with a mix of hurt and defiance in her eyes. She delivered a poignant monologue about the importance of kindness and discourse, criticizing how media often pits people against each other for entertainment. Andy, still seated, listened in silence, his usual wit subdued by the intensity. Leanne elaborated on her journey from a late-blooming comedian to a household name, crediting her success to staying true to herself despite pressures. The audience hung on every word, some wiping tears, others nodding vigorously. She challenged Andy to reflect on his role in fostering division versus unity, her words resonating deeply. Andy attempted a response, acknowledging her points but defending the value of tough questions. This only fueled Leanne further. She waved him off, declaring that true conversation requires mutual respect, which she felt was lacking. With microphone discarded, her voice carried naturally, amplified by the quiet room. She shared anecdotes from fans who found healing in her humor, underscoring why she wouldn't compromise her essence. The tension was palpable, with time seeming to slow as the standoff unfolded. Production lights glared, highlighting the sweat on brows and the raw emotion. Leanne's final stand was a masterclass in poise under fire, blending humor with heartfelt conviction. She joked lightly about needing a sweet tea to calm down, eliciting scattered laughs that broke the heaviness momentarily. But the seriousness returned as she addressed broader issues of cancel culture and free expression in comedy. Andy, regaining composure, extended an olive branch, inviting her back anytime. Leanne smiled sadly, replying that she'd consider it if the focus was on fun, not interrogation. The exchange humanized both, showing vulnerabilities beneath public personas. As she inched toward the door, the audience erupted in applause, many standing in solidarity. Andy called after her, but Leanne didn't look back, her stride purposeful and unyielding. The camera followed her offset, capturing the stunned reactions of crew members. In that instant, the show transformed from routine entertainment to a cultural touchstone. Viewers witnessed not just a clash, but a stand for personal integrity. Leanne's departure was swift, leaving a void on the couch and a buzz in the air. Andy, left alone, addressed the camera awkwardly, promising to continue after a break. The live feed cut to commercials, but the impact lingered. Social media ignited with support for Leanne. Hashtags trending worldwide. Her bold move sparked discussions on interview ethics and celebrity boundaries. In hindsight, this moment amplified her voice, turning potential backlash into empowerment. Fans rallied, sharing clips and stories, while critics debated the merits. Leanne later posted a gracious statement online, thanking supporters and wishing Andy well. The incident, though heated, highlighted resilience and the power of authenticity in a scripted world. In the aftermath of Leanne Morgan's dramatic walk-off from Andy Cohen's show, the entertainment world buzzed with reactions, analyses, and memes that captured the explosive encounter. Social media platforms overflowed with clips of the heated exchange, amassing millions of views overnight. Supporters praised Leanne for standing her ground, calling her a beacon of authenticity in an industry often criticized for superficiality. Critics, however, accused her of overreacting to fair questions, sparking debates on the limits of host-guest dynamics. Andy Cohen addressed the incident on his next episode, expressing regret if he overstepped but defending the value of candid conversations. He extended another invitation to Leanne, which she politely acknowledged in a follow-up interview elsewhere. Leanne's career, far from suffering, saw a surge in interest. Her Netflix special climbed charts, and tour tickets sold out rapidly. She used the platform to advocate for respectful dialogue, turning the clash into a teachable moment. Industry insiders speculated on the behind-the-scenes fallout, with reports of production scrambling to edit the episode for reruns. Talk shows across networks referenced the event, some hosts vowing to tread carefully in future interviews. Leanne appeared on podcasts and morning shows, sharing her side with humor and tact, joking about the drama while emphasizing unity. The incident highlighted broader tensions in pop culture, from generational divides to the role of comedy in social commentary. Fans created fan art and videos recreating the moment, cementing it in meme history. Andy's ratings spiked temporarily from the controversy, proving the adage that all publicity is good publicity. Leanne, reflecting in a heartfelt post, expressed no hard feelings, focusing on positivity. The full story, dissected by entertainment outlets, revealed layers, from initial promotion to philosophical clash, culminating in empowerment. This event reminded viewers that celebrities are human, with passions and boundaries. In the end, both emerged strong. Leanne with bolstered fanbase, Andy with lessons on sensitivity. The clash, though intense, fostered growth and conversation, proving that even stormy exits can lead to clearer skies. As time passed, it became a legendary talk show tale, referenced in comedy specials and late-night monologues. Leanne continued thriving, her voice louder than ever, while Andy adapted his style subtly. The full story serves as a reminder of the fine line between entertainment and intrusion, encouraging empathy in all interactions.